friends. Welcome to another episode of the Long Distance Friends podcast. Today's long distance friend is my girlfriend, Sarah. Sarah and I met on the first day of high school, and we're just going to catch up, talk about life,
Okay, hold on. I think I did. Okay.
Hi, gorgeous. Welcome to the show. You look so hot.
Thank you. I had to get taught out. I'm a guest.
It's so funny because I feel like when other people are on, they're like, time to look pretty. And I'm
ready for my close up, please.
I've washed my hair for the first time in a week and a half. So
this is fantastic.
This
is a big day.
It is. Listen, it took 3 shampoos. It was embarrassing.
That's okay. In the end, it was done. You did it. And that's all that matters.
I'm obsessed with this home decor. I know you just moved into a new apartment.
Yes. I got all my stuff from Home Goods, all my decoration stuff from Home Goods, and a little bit from Amazon. And then the large furniture pieces I got from Rooms to Go. So big.
What a icon of the 2000s.
I know.
I feel like in the 2000s, everything was Rooms to Go. And then now it's I have no idea.
I have no idea where to get furniture. I only went to Rooms to Go because they do 0% financing for 55 months. So you have a monthly payment. So I got my couch, bed frame, mattress, and box spring for $58 a month, which I don't think is that because
I probably should have done that.
Oh, well,
I'm afraid of payment plans.
Why?
I don't know. I think I grew up with the mindset of if I cannot pay for it in full, then I can't afford it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
But then I also feel like I have to pay everything in full, and some things are really expensive. And then I get stressed because I'm I could have more money in my bank account right now.
Oh, I know. I was looking, I decorated the whole apartment, blah, 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 blah. And then work starts on Monday. So obviously I haven't gotten paid for anything because I haven't started yet. So I was looking at my credit card and I was knife to the chest. I was this is going to suck paying it off, but it'll be fine. But it also is going to suck.
Yeah. It's I try to pay my card in full every single month. And every single month I'm well, I had to buy a mattress. I have to sleep somewhere.
Yeah.
I could let it sit for a little bit and then I look at my bank account after I pay them and I'm
I know. Oh my God, I know. I'm trying to coordinate in my big spreadsheet where every dollar is gonna go. I'm oh my God, this is exhausting. This is something that no one explains to you when you become I guess we're considered adults now because we have jobs and we're not in school. Becoming an adult is that everything is so expensive. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know it until I actually was having bills stare at me in the face.
Right. You don't realize it until you're this is 3 hours of my job.
Yeah.
This is 3 hours of work.
Me at my desk trying to get through the day. Oh my God.
Literally. So I know you went to college, you got a master's degree. So tell me what your 20s have been like thus far.
The 20s, I would say, have been good. I think they've been on a progressive upward trajectory.
Amazing.
So, which I agree. I think it's great. My 4 years, I did all 5 years at Florida State. So my first 4 years at Florida State were good. I mean, I was in a relationship during that and, it was fine. It was fine.
The episode that's going to come out before this, Jess and I recorded on Monday, and I told her that we were going to be recording. And she was like, is she still with that guy? And I literally had to cut out part of my rant about him. I was like, he's nasty. He's a horrible boy. He's a bad boy. He's a nasty man.
I think he meant well. I don't think that he had the emotional capacity to be in a relationship. And I think it took me too long to pick up on that, but we kicked him to the curb and now we're doing great. So undergrad was good, but I was in, that whole thing. And then my year for my master's was honestly my best year of college ever.
Yeah.
I met like all my girlfriends who like I know that I'm going to be best friends with for the rest of my life, you know, like those like core group of college girlies.
Yeah.
I mean the masters was great. The FSU MBA program was fantastic. And I gained a lot of skills. I met a lot of fantastic people. I made my resume look great, you know, all those good things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Penny's yelling at me.
Love.
So I think the 20s have been good. I think a lot of it has consisted of understanding what makes me happy and what I want. And I understand that, like, I'm only 3 years into the 20s, so I don't even fully understand. Like, my brain's not even fully developed. So I
Right.
get and I get
You're still
that. You know, I
cooking.
have 2 more years until my brain is done cooking. And I get that. Um, but I think that's also like honestly like kind of fun because like I'm growing still, even though like not
Hmm.
physically, like emotionally and mentally I still am. And I'm excited to continue that journey into like this new stage of post grad life.
Yeah. And I know you experienced something that I didn't realize was as common as it is, but like you had a job offer before you graduated
Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah.
fell through.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. So I was gonna work at a pretty like relatively known retail company in New York City, and I was gonna work in fashion, you know, the whole deal. And I interviewed for this job probably like school started, my master's started in August. I probably interviewed for it in like September, and then I
Yeah.
heard back like a week after Thanksgiving. And like
Hmm.
out of like my friend group at that time, I was the first to secure a job. You know, had this fantastic like life that I projected in my head.
Right.
Um, like I was gonna go to New York City, I was gonna be a little city girl, and I was gonna do all this stuff. And then a month before graduation, which was in this past August. So just think about that timeline. I was a week after Thanksgiving, November 2022
Hmm.
to like a couple weeks before August 2023. I was planning to go to New York City. I was, I had my like roommates locked down and I was, planning on going on a trip with them to New York to find an apartment and,
Hmm.
get settled. And then I was sitting in a firehouse sub waiting for my sub. And I got a phone call from this random number. And for some reason, I don't answer random numbers. I'm like, if they want to chat, they'll leave a voicemail. But for some reason, I was like, I got to answer it because I think it was like a New England area code. And I was like,
Hmm.
what are the odds? What are the odds they're coming, calling to say hi? So I answer, and it was the primary recruiter that I was dealing with. And she's like, look, like, I just got to let you know, we're pushing your start date out from, I was supposed to start, when was I supposed to, October. I was supposed to start in October. They were pushing me out into like February, March range. And I was like, okay, well, why? And she gave me like, the quintessential HR answer. It was like, this is, has nothing to do
Business
with
need.
you. It's yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just don't think that they had, the resources to maintain the amount of people that were coming in. And
Hmm.
like, that's fine, I get it, So I was like, I don't think that I should just wait around until February or March to see if I could figure this out. So I, was starting at square one, which in my head was so stressful. I was like so up in arms about not having something set because I mean, you know me, I
Yeah.
like to have things figured out years in advance. I am a
Yes.
planner.
And I
So
think that's why you were able to have the year that you had while you were getting your master's because you were like everybody else is like, "Oh, I'm like going to have fun, but also I'm terrified because I don't have a job yet." And you were like, "I don't have to worry. Like
I don't have to,
everything's
yeah, that was
taken
my
care of."
mentality for a long time. I was like,
Yeah.
good luck, girl. That's not my problem. I got a job. I got a job. I'm good. And not, a show off way, but in like a
I don't
like a
have to worry about it way.
emotional security way. Like I
Right.
didn't have to think about it. Like I can study for this exam and not worry about sending out my resumes or dealing with interviews. Whereas
Hmm.
like a lot of my friends and a lot of my people in my cohort were, were in that situation for a long time. So I had to like start again from square one, which was just driving me nuts. And I was sending out an obscene amount of resumes every day, just trying to get someone to email me back. But eventually I did. My friend got a job offer with the company that we both work for now, and she and I were out, and she was on the phone with the recruiter, like accepting her position, and the recruiter was like, "Oh, is there anything else that I could do for you?" And my friend was like, "You know what? Now that you mention it, my friend Sarah has applied for the analyst job in Jacksonville. Can you take a look at her resume?"
That is so insane to me. Like, genuinely, I think if I were that recruiter, I'd be like,
but
like it's so bold
like,
that
sure.
like you have to look at it. Like, usually the way these things go is you're like, any questions for me? And it's like, yeah, like, what's your company culture like?
I know. And I was so
You like it?
My friend turned to me and she's like, "I got this." You know what?
I love women. I love women. I love
like,
my girlfriends.
I only have this job because of her. And I'm sure I would have eventually gotten an email or interview back from them, but it would have been like the next day, like it was.
Right.
And it all worked
so
out.
hard because like I work in a area where like I do see recruitment of stuff, and like you'll have one job posting and one spot to fill and 100 applications. So it's like probably not going to look at all of these. Like, I'm just going to set a filter and be like, knock out anybody that uses the words this, and this on their resume, because like they probably won't be a good fit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but then to have someone that's like, because like, again, I've had people's employer reach out to me to be like, "Hi, can you look at them? Because they really want this job." And I've been like, "Hold on, let me go look for their info."
That's crazy. That's bold.
Yeah. So like literally just having someone speak up for you does insane things.
Oh, I know. Well, because my friend said that to the recruiter, and the recruiter was like, "Okay, like I'm pushing it through right now." And I was like, "Okay." So I had an interview like that Thursday, and then I had my next interview Friday, and I got the job that Friday. And I know. And
Amazing.
I'm very excited. Work starts on Monday, so we'll have to do a follow-up episode to see how everything's going. But
Absolutely. Yeah. So I feel like you are my oldest friend that is like a corporate girly.
Yes.
Now. And I feel like I was a psychopath and pushed myself into the corporate world faster than all of my friends, which was beneficial because then it was like,
well, now you have a fantastic position.
Yes. Like, and I joke that like I've had friends that are like, "Hey, can I use you as a reference? Because like on paper, you look like a really good reference." And I'm like, all right, like, sure. But you and I have been friends for almost 10 years.
Has it really?
We met when we were 14 years old.
Wow. Oh my God. I didn't even realize.
Is that not insane?
Crazy. That's like, so wild.
Right.
14. We were 14 when we met. We were children. Little babies.
Literally.
The photograph that you sent me, I think it was like on Snap from like, we were wearing blue. It was a pep rally. So what is that, junior year?
So that was the Step Up pep rally where we were sophomores because there was a different person that we were mutual friends with who we were not friends with the following year.
Oh, there you go.
Who was in one of those photos. And I was like, damn, this is old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 10 years. We're going to have to do something.
I know.
You're literally my oldest friend. That's crazy.
Literally. I've had these realizations.
Congrats for being friends for that long. Woohoo.
Made it through. And I think
made it.
One of the funniest parts is like for me having to realize that like every single one of your friends, it's going to be like a unique relationship where like you and I have been long distance friends for years.
Like the majority of our friendship has been us living in totally different places.
Yes. Like, but like every time I'd come home, you and I would go to that little French restaurant.
Get our quiches and our macaroons, and we would talk so much smack about everybody. Like,
we need to do that soon.
we do.
That, and
You
then
know
when
the
I'd come
restaurant
home
is
for
closed.
Christmas, it was always your birthday. So I was
Yeah.
always like,
Yes. Well, I don't know when I'll probably be here for my birthday. So you could just fly in the airport that's 15 minutes away from me.
exactly, I'll come visit. It'll be super
Perfect.
fun.
That'll be super fun.
But yeah, no, I mean, it is insane to me that I'm like, we'd have like a couple times a year be like 11 a.m. meet me at the French restaurant. I've already ordered your, what is it? The like red pepper and feta quiche.
It was goat cheese. It was red
Was it
pepper.
goat cheese?
Yeah, it was goat cheese.
So good.
And then we would get the lavender macaroons because they did not taste like soap. They
The
tasted
rose ones tasted like soap.
the rose ones are gross. We would get the lavender, the chocolate, and the vanilla one. Remember?
Yes.
And they would have like whipped cream in between them, and we dip in the whipped cream. Oh my god! And then we get our iced teas.
Dear French people who just got super insulted that we were like, we dipped our macarons in whipped cream.
God.
It was delicious.
We can never show face in France. Like they'll come for us now.
Maybe that's what we should do one day. We should plan like a girls' trip to France and just be like, we'll be the cringy American people that are like, I'm just here for
Bonjour. Can I get a croissant, please?
Bonjour. Can I have un croissant, por favor?
You play.
I have the worst Southern accent, and I think it's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so we throwback because I saw that recently and I was like, holy shit.
So funny. We were so old then.
That, and then it was like when we became like over the past like year or two, once a week we'd get like a vlog update of cooking a HelloFresh box.
Yes.
And like,
I love a HelloFresh.
Here's what's going on.
I just remember I remember seeing you like your name on like my Snapchat, and I was like, I haven't talked to her in a while. And then you were like, you should like download Marco Polo. And then it was just the rest was history from there. Cause like our schedules are so vastly different. And like our lives like so like 180 of each other. So I just think like it's the best way to communicate. Cause like when you go to work, you usually typically work really late, and I'm like in bed by 9.
Yep.
So it works out perfect.
Yeah. And I always joke too. I'm like, I no longer am on medication for ADHD. And so I'm like, it works for me because I get really insecure about interrupting people. But it's like, as soon as I have a thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, connection. Like, yeah, me too. Or like, I'm adding to it. See, we're connecting. And usually people are like,
you're interrupting.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. But Marco Polo, I'm like, I made a list of everything that you just talked about. Here was my thought for this and this and this and this.
I know, like in all my Marco Polos, I'm like, okay, what was like the 5th thing you mentioned? Like,
and I love that it saves them too. It's Snapchat for adults. Oh my God,
I always love going back. Like I'll just like scroll back and like click on like a random one and be like, oh, that's what we were doing that day. That's funny. You know, when I like to check in on people.
Yes. It is phenomenal. I feel like I have a handful of people that are on it, and I'm like, having like when you get out of college, it really sinks in that like, okay, I just spent a couple of years in an environment where like I had friends around me all the time. And now I'm in like the real world. And how do I stay connected? How do I keep having that like, like the hierarchy of needs of like how are my social needs being met with the people that I have the bonds with? Because like they don't just disappear.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I mean, I'm more in that space now because I just like got out of school. But it's definitely weird because like you said, I like in Tallahassee, I lived 2 minutes away from all my closest girlfriends. And then all I would have to do, or all somebody else would have to do, is like put in the group chat, oh, let's go to Township. And then, 20 minutes later, we would all be sitting at the same table. Like, that's not the case. Like, I have girlfriends who are in different cities and in different states. Like, I think now the focus is shifting into like these more like adult relationships, and maintaining these adult female friendships is like active communication, and like making sure that, you know, you are still nurturing these friendships even though you are, you know, hundreds or thousands of miles away.
Yeah. And like realizing that it takes way more effort than it did when it was like, oh, we live next door. And
Yeah.
like, I don't feel the need to reach out to you all the time because next week we'll go grab a drink and catch up and whatever. And then being like, hey, so like, if I want to go grab a drink with you, I'm going to have to buy a plane ticket.
Yes.
So
You have to drive a bajillion hours.
I joke that like once a year I do a tour de Florida.
You do.
So I have a new stop on my tour de Florida.
Yes, you do have another stop on the tour to Florida. That's so funny. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting now, because like all myself and all my girlfriends were transitioning into, you know, in our jobs and in our lives, and a lot of them, like I have one friend who's already engaged and another one who is like probably going to be engaged before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
and then they start having kids.
yeah. So it's just, it's interesting to see how it's all gonna, I know it's gonna be fine, but it's gonna be interesting to see how it progresses, and, you know, just making conscious efforts.
So speaking of relationships getting to the point of marriage and engagement, you did have a very serious relationship that was a couple years long. I think you guys lived together for a bit there.
We did. We lived together for a whole year. We were together for 4.5 years.
Did
and
you
we
guys break up while you were living together?
Oh yeah.
Like, oops.
Yeah, we did.
Oopsie daisy.
Whoopsie doodles. But thankfully we lived in a 2-bedroom. So I was like, you're gonna move your stuff in the guest bedroom.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you're back out there.
Wait, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So you're back out there. This past year, I feel like you were like, all right, I'm going to start dipping my toes in it. And like, you are an icon to me. You are my queen. Like, I lived for my Marco Polo updates where you'd be like, I have a guy driving down from Alabama, like 3 hours to come visit me. Yeah. And that guy literally, I remember it so vividly, picked you up, took you to get a drink for like a 2-hour date, dropped you off, like was a gentleman, and
then drove 2.5 hours home.
Didn't try to sleep with you, didn't try to make fun.
I mean, it like nothing like happened with him because like he traveled a lot, but like that one isolated first date was great. Okay.
And I feel like it set your standard where you were like, oh, that's right. Oh my God, it was great.
He called me and he's like, okay, we're gonna go out tonight. And I was like, you live in a different state. How are you gonna do that? And he's like, I'm on my way. I'm in the car. I'll see you in 2 hours. I was like, okay.
Nothing is sexier than a man who makes a fully detailed plan, acts on it, and keeps you posted of like, hey, by the way, I'm already on my way. You need to wear maybe like jeans and a cute top. We'll have 2 drinks.
And then we got dinner, we got drinks at like 2 different bars. He dropped me off. We kissed, dropped me off, and then drove home, and it was 2 a.m. He drove 2 hours home at 2 a.m. I was like, are you sure you just don't want to like sleep on my couch? Like, really, truly, it's so late. And he's like, no, we set that boundary. I'm going home. I was like,
a king. Genuinely a king.
An American hero. So
what is the best first date that you have been on in the past like year and a half?
Oh, geez. It was probably honestly that one.
Yeah. I mean, it does set a really high bar.
He set quite a high bar. I'm trying to think. Because, you know, there's some real winners and then there are some real losers.
So different question. What's the worst first date?
Oh, man. Okay.
That you're like, I got to block your info while I'm sitting here.
Well, everybody had a code name. Like, I didn't refer to them by their real names. Of course. It's ridiculous. So I think Pendy. I think maybe a fine gentleman named Sweaty Lightweight. Yes. so serious. Being so serious.
So I take it he was a heavy drinker and bone dry.
Yeah. Oh Jesus Christ. I went out with him twice. And second time I was like, I don't know. I was just kind of bored and I was like, we'll see what happens. And the second time I didn't tell him that I wasn't going to New York anymore. So he was asking me questions about moving to New York City. So I pulled up my phone, I went beep bop boop, and I pulled up a random New York City apartment. And I was like, this is where I'm living.
I love lying to men from dating apps. Like, genuinely, I just got back on Hinge. I know you are now on Hinge.
Yep.
And I am unhinged on the Hinge.
The screenshots you send me of the stuff that you say to people, I'm like, I mean, you don't say anything bad. You are just so to the point.
Well,
And I'm
I
like,
had the one guy that was like, so are you going to give me anything more than a one-word answer? Like, I'm looking for deep connection and conversation.
he said,
and I was like, okay.
like, yeah.
He said that to me.
Oh, okay. Sassy.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, sorry. I'm trying to manipulate you into thinking that I'm a quiet, cool girl so I can, like spring my I never shut up personality later. And it was like, also, if you want me to answer with more than a one-word answer, ask me a better fucking question.
Sometimes these men are so dry and boring. And like that is like the quickest way for me to be like, meh, like, yeah. I'm just like, you have to have at least like, there's two avenues that you could go, right? You could have a thought-provoking conversation and then ask me out on a date, or just come out of the gate swinging and ask me out. Right. Those are your two very distinct paths.
I have someone right now that's pussyfooting around asking me out and has like kind of like dipped his toe in the water of like, do you like margaritas? Do you like this? And I'm like, and then he did the whole like, oh, I guess we'll have to like travel more together one day. And I was like, hey, that's a red flag. This whole like future planning when we haven't even met is a red flag and it's weird. So either ask me out, or I'm gonna stop responding because like you seem kind of cute. But if you have a squeaky voice or like are weird in person, it's not gonna work.
It ain't gonna work, then. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about, saying, oh, let's do this, let's do that. But you have to like make them tangible and you have to make them actionable. Like you can't hit me with we should go travel to the Maldives. I'd be like, we're not gonna do that.
I don't know you.
I don't know you. Like, come on.
You're a stranger I met on the internet. Be for real.
So like if you tell me, let's go to blah 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 game, or let's go to blah 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 event, or we should do this, or we should do that. I'm like, okay, like that's actionable. That's reasonable.
We should go get a margarita and watch a minor league baseball game. Cool. What day?
That sounds like a fantastic day.
That's an easy way to test the waters and make a plan. Like my prompt for the best way to ask me out is by asking me to a planned meal or drinks at least 2 days in advance, confirming the morning of, and showing up on time. That is my prompt.
That is like, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Nobody's fucking done it.
Nobody. And that's okay, because somebody will. You just gotta find them. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yes. But I've shared with you, like, I'm just really enjoying some of these conversations because I send them to you. Like we had the guy that wanted me to get deeper. I answered one of his deep questions. And it's turned into full therapy where he was like,
he needs help.
I lost my virginity recently and I was coping with the wrong mechanisms. I tried an edible for the first time. And I was like, in retrospect, the minute he said, I'm coming out of a season of hardship, I should have known.
He sent you like this big fat thing, and like in the middle it says season of hardship, and you're like, tell me about it. And then he just went right in.
They will tell you anything. Like,
they'll say anything.
some of that I probably wouldn't tell a stranger on the internet.
No. Oh my God. No. No.
I did tell one of them that I have a podcast, and he was like, what do you talk about? And I was like, my interactions on here and like life. And I definitely not directly talked about him, but like, I don't trust blonde men. Like, if you're 28 with naturally blonde hair,
Adult men are not blonde. I'm sorry.
correct. And if you are like blonde, boyhood blonde is what I call it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you feel like, you can't be bleach blonde. If you're blonde, okay. But like bleach blonde,
like a dirty blonde.
That's fine.
Got it.
That's fine.
But like super blonde, that is for the girls.
It's just odd.
And the babies.
And the babies. It's just odd. I'm not not a fan. Not a fan.
So what is your favorite prompt of yours?
Oh, let's see. I'm gonna pull it up. I have the one that you have where it's like the
best way to ask me out.
And my answer is just like naming a time and place. That one doesn't get a lot of traction. I have green flags that I look for, and then my answer is when you walk on the part of the sidewalk that's closest to the road, because I just think that's so nice. Even though that's basic.
It's the bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
I love when guys are like, I'm the kind of man that holds the door open, and I went, that bar is on the floor.
Yeah.
Can you raise it?
Yeah. And then my most irrational fear is a down escalator.
That one's funny. I feel like that one must get a lot of responses.
That one gets a lot of traction because they're like, well, what about the up escalators? And I'm like, I didn't include that, so I have no issue with those.
Right.
And then like, well, and then I had some guy ask me, what about like the people movers that are like at the airport? And I'm like, that's fine.
It's vertical.
Escalator.
It's not like if it stops, I'm gonna slingshot down.
No. I mean, I fell down a down escalator in high school. You remember this? Do you remember this? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You remember about it. So that's why. And that is stuck with me, Olivia. Oh my God, it is stuck with me. Like, I cannot shake it. Like, whenever I encounter a down escalator, I'm like, everybody's got to go first of all. Like,
you got to be able to catch me.
Yeah, everybody's got to go first. And then I'm like standing at like the top where like, like the grates are where the stairs come out.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like hyping myself up at 23, almost 24 years old, like trying to get down the escalator. It's not great. But that's my most irrational fear.
Okay. See, my two other ones get more traction.
Mm-hmm.
I have let's debate this topic, sweet to savory breakfast ratio.
That's a good one.
If a man is like 100% sweet all the way, I'm like, okay, so you're a child. Absolutely not. Like, if you have a huge sweet tooth and are like insane, I'm like, so you're a little childish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen it before, and I brought it up with like one of my exes because he like had a huge sweet tooth, and I was like, I saw this thing online, and he was like, I don't know, I disagree. And I was like, I don't know, like, your idea of a fun night is like, let's go play mini golf and go karting, and like, that's super fun, but I also want to like look nice and have a steak with a glass of wine.
Yeah, they can't be like an always like,
right? Like, sometimes I want to shake my ass in a club. But my other one is, I'm weirdly attracted to someone with a job.
You always get some funny responses out of that one.
It's usually like, hey, I have one of those, or like the hand raising emojis. And I'm like, oh my God, congrats. The bar is on the floor. I'm not nice to these men. Like, genuinely.
Not.
I'm not a nice girl to the boys online.
The internet men. But like, that's fine. You don't have to be. You shouldn't be.
Like, like I'm gonna kind of poke the bear.
As you should, because I feel like that gets like the most genuine results.
That, and also it helps me stand out, I think, because I feel like a lot of people are like, hi, how are you? What's your favorite color? And
Yeah.
like,
very like kind and like
right.
just
Because this is a stranger that I don't know. And I look at it and I'm like, you're a stranger that I don't know. And so I'm just going to be kind of unhinged. And if you can create a good banter, I'll consider letting you buy me a drink.
Yes, I think that's a great way to do it. If they can handle like the passive aggression and sarcasm, then I'm like, okay, check. Like, great. We got,
And if you can't, then you're probably really boring.
and you're probably really boring. And life is a little too short to be bored.
Amen, sister. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get you back on here when you've had like more time in this new city's dating pool. Because I'm sure it is like day and night different than a college town.
It's I would say that it's better in some respects, but it's also not worse. It's just different. I mean,
that, and also being on it as like a corporate girly versus like when you're in school, you're like, let's go grab a drink at 2 p.m.
Yeah, can't do that because people like.
Now you're like, I'm sorry, I'm a business baddie.
I'm a business girl. But yeah, I think it's going good. I mean, I think I have a date with on Sunday, so I'm sure you'll be getting a full recap about that. So, but it's not with Amazon, somebody else.
Okay. I love nicknaming them. What is the best nicknames that you've had for guys from the apps?
Decoy duck, sweaty lightweight, football wannabe, Alabama boy. I don't know. I think my top ones are sweaty lightweight and decoy duck.
Oh,
my favorites.
That is so good. Yeah. Right now, like the ones that I have right now, I have Jesus hair, 6'4" white guy who like brought it up himself and was like, everybody says I look like Jesus. And I was like, this guy's in my phone is Jesus hair. I was like, that's crazy. I don't know where they'd get that from. He was like, yeah, like, I don't get it. And I was like, wonder why. Crazy. We have Boyhood Blondie. We've got Leg Tat Guy.
Ooh, love a leg tat. Love a leg tat.
It's his whole leg is patchwork.
Oh, that's cool.
Like tattoos. And then I found out what they were because I couldn't really see them. It's all like movie paraphernalia. Like he has the moon from E.T. with E.T. on a bike across it. It's a little extreme.
Okay. Well, maybe it has some emotional significance. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Okay. That's odd.
There's a mama's boy. And then there's just John. There's
John. I think the best nickname for John is just John.
I mean, maybe Big Booty Boy. Like, that's all we've talked about. So
he sounds like a blast.
I don't know. He keeps pussyfooting around.
Oh, it's that one.
Maybe that should be his nickname, is Pussyfooter.
That has real punch to it.
It does. I should let him know that. See if it changes.
Yes, changes things.
Yeah,
this is what I refer to as to my friends. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, Sarah, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Cannot wait to have you back in a couple weeks to get an update.
We'll be back.
All right. Love you. See you soon.
Love you. Bye.